Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has taken on extensive new executive powers following his outright election victory in Sunday polls.
Parliament has now been weakened and the post of Prime Minister abolished as measures approved in last year's controversial referendum take effect. Erdogan has presided over a strong economy and built up a solid support base by investing in healthcare, education and infrastructure.
But the 64-year-old has also polarized opinions, cracking down on opponents and putting some 160,000 people in jail. In his victory speech on Monday, Erdogan said Turkey would continue to liberate Syrian lands and act more decisively against terrorist organizations. Joining us now is a global affairs commentator, Adiola Oyelade. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
The opposition dared to dream, but yet again, Recep Tayyip Erdogan came out tops. So you were surprised?
Not surprised anyway, because if you look at the electoral process, the procedure itself, you will understand that those facilities that the opposition actually needed to do the electionary campaign to win more people are likely controlled by the state. For example, like the media are likely controlled by the state. And of course, as a result of the coup that happened in about 2 years ago, you see that dissenting voices, the oppositions, the activists were thrown in jails, about 60,000 of them in jails. So many people who are afraid of their lives are to run away from the country.
Inse, the man that took second in the position, drew crowds. In fact, touted to be close to millions of crowds at his campaigns. And many even thought it was good enough, you know, being a charismatic person to win.
Yes, but you will also see that the president who actually won, the prime minister who won, who is becoming the first executive president, also was so strategic to understand that he also saw it coming and he formed alliance with other parties to make sure that he did not lose the election. But if you look at it, I still believe that what the opposition actually need is to keep the momentum going. Because if the president, the prime minister can only get 50%, I think 52%, there is possibility that if the opposition is very consistent, let's see what happens.
But wouldn't that be a recipe for crisis in Turkey if the opposition actually keeps up the momentum now that it looks like Erdogan has a very, very firm grip on power, especially at a time when you have soaring inflation, plunging, currency, high interest rates, faltering economy. The same things that he came on board to solve some 15 years ago have now become a problem.
Yes, it will always look impossible until it will become a reality. Yes, we know his antecedents, and of course, when it comes to issues in terms of governance in the country, the challenges, issues raised as an issue-based race, even towards the election. But as it is, he has emerged as the winner by getting at least half of the population.
You know, my point is, if you say opposition should maintain that momentum. If that really continues from opposition, are you not going to have another wave of mass arrests, claims and allegations of a coup and what have you, that will enable Erdogan to actually throw people in jail and forget them there? But
there's more of international check on, you will see that the Western allies are not fully in support of the man in power.
Well, they're congratulating him already.
What have they been able to do to save those in jail?
Yes, definitely. We understand that even the Prime Minister will always lay claims that what he has done is in line with the laws of the country. But to some reasonable degree, too, international checks has a lot to do to some reasonable degree. And that, of course, I believe that the way it is, all they just need is to keep themselves together and keep also...
Well, keeping themselves together, really. Muharrem Ince on one side that got 30.7% of the votes, and then Meral Akşener, seen the female among them, seen as a she-wolf, very vocal and all that. In fact, performed woefully because many thought she was going to be the one to divide the votes the president Erdogan was supposed to get. And then when you add these two votes together, the percentage of the votes together, they're not even up
They
to
still
what
didn't make up
Erdogan
the
got,
number.
13.7 plus 7.3% that she got. And that is why some are even afraid that Erdogan could rule further than 2023, if you look
Even
at
to up to 2028.
Exactly.
Yes. This is the way I would look at it. Now they are moving away from a parliamentary system of government to the presidential system of government. And that, of course, we all know that according to the shape of the presidential system of government, more power will also be in the hands of the incoming president, no doubt about that. But I think the management of that power, and we go a long way, in determining the choice that will come thereafter.
How do you think that power will be managed? I mean, you almost want to ask, is Turkey really still a democracy? Or is Turkey just trying to create its own homegrown democracy that will suit its, peculiarities?
It has been globally accepted that democracy is tagged by the way that people that practice it call their own democracy.
Okay.
They will claim that, of course, it's democracy because that's what the aspirations, the aspirations of the people of Turkey, at least by also citing or making reference to referendum, that at least 50% of people, above 50% of people actually endorse it. But of course, I know that now that the president will have the power to even put an end to the National Assembly, as into the legislative arm, can as well appoint the vice president, can as well appoint the senior judges.
Yeah, according to Heinz, the opposition leader of CHP, what's his name, Erdogan, a single man is going to be in charge of the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary.
Yes, that's a big fear, because a man who had to consult the parliament in the first place and does not have a good record of human rights now has a sole power to even make proclamation and dissolve the legislative arm. There is fear, no doubt about that. But the way I'm looking at it is we need to see how President Erdogan will manage this the new system of government that they want to practice in the first place. That will go a long way. His practice will not determine whether all the followers and that he has will still continue to have sympathy for him and to support him.
Well, from what you just said, really, many would say that it might not happen because this was the election when he thought that it was going to lose because his popularity dipped. Even pro-supporters of his party and him as a person desisted from, campaigning for him at a point because of what it did to the economy, inflation rising to about 12%. But then he was able to even get support from a far-right party, MHP, and it now depends on the seats of that party, about 11% of the seats in parliament, to get a majority of his own party of 42%. Meaning that he has majority in parliament as well as a president. So whatever he wants to get passed will get passed immediately. You understand? So would you think that could even change?
No, that's why I said he has won the election already, and he was able to win the election with the alliance he got from other political parties. That I said that the way he will manage this incoming tenure will go a long way, whether he will continue to get the support.
Thousands into jail, punishing, sacking many people, yet he still got supported enough to be voted into presidency. But
you will see that the leading opposition figures also accepted the figure, even though he declared the election not fair, unjust to him. But he said the outcome of the election, we compare it with what each party also has. There is no significant difference there. He accepted the result. Of course, that is the decision of the people for now. But the way he will manage when it gets to power.
Back to the issue of managing power.
Yes.
And based on his antecedents, you wonder how do you think Turkey will actually relate with its European allies? I mean, recall Turkey has been trying to be part of the EU, and there's been this pushback because, of course, he succeeded in moving Turkey from a secular nation to a more conservative Islamic country. So how's that going to play out in, in the whole picture?
It will be the way it is. We all know the position of the European Union, and we know the position of the Western world when it comes to their bilateral relationships with Russia. With Turkey. Pardon me. We know it's all about give and take. The European Union reached a big decision with Turkey last year. Last year, and made Turkey the center for all the refugees coming into the Europe. But as it is, I think,
will that be a bargaining chip? Let me help you out. Will it be a bargaining chip for Turkey to get whatever it wants from European allies?
No, what they will give Turkey in return has been mentioned at that point in time when they reached the consensus that Turkey should be the center for all the refugees. Some amount of money and so on and so forth, and it stops at that table. But the European Union are also watching, like I mentioned, the way it's managed will go a long way to determine.
Well, listening to his speech, really, acceptance speech, many would say that not much would change eventually, because he talked about continuing the campaign, the Turkish campaign in Syria, which many have frowned out over time, but he's still saying that he will continue with it, apart from other efforts. And then he will say that the media has been, private media, they were, defiant of his administration, was shut down, many sold off. The remaining media organizations there are the ones doing his bidding. So you expect freedom of speech, especially, to thrive under
Okay, when I said the way he manage, will go a long way. I mean, will determine. Does not really mean that I'm saying that he will do it very, very well. Of course, we know him. He has been tagged dictator. Even he has qualities of dictator. And of course, some of his actions too, not always giving fair hearing to oppositions and so on and so forth. That's why he has not
In fact, one of the opposition candidates had to contest while in prison.
Yes, yes. I think his party got maybe about 7%. 7%. Yes, we know that. But I think maybe becoming the executive president this time around, that he has much power. Yes, 10%. That he has much power. Maybe he will want to, we can't, when it comes to foreign relations and international...
It's a different ballgame.
Yes. So he may want to play his game in another direction.
Okay, so according to Erdogan, the real winners are the Turkish people themselves. Are they the winners in this case?
What do you expect from a politician to say?
Okay, so it's just
he will give it
political.
back.
Yeah, but with that result he got,
it's more of a political statement.
Turkey is polarized, some for him, some against him.
And Russia, of course, has congratulated him. Yes. Do we have any more congratulations from other countries, like the US, for example?
I think it will be coming from the Arab countries.
And more.
Russia, Turkey, especially.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Adeola Onyelade, Global Affairs Analyst, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks.